the day I realized that friendship could cut deeper than an enemy's blade was the day I found myself staring through the iron bars of my own gate, watching people laughing, drinking, and celebrating inside my compound, inside my home, while I stood outside like a beggar. It all began 3 weeks earlier, in the bustling city of Ibadan, Nigeria. My best friend, Ifeoma, had rushed into my salon with her wide smile that always lit up a room. We had been friends since secondary school, inseparable, as people used to say. Ifeoma was beautiful in a way that made strangers pause, tall, curvy, with smooth chocolate skin and a voice that carried both warmth and pride. Amaka, she had cried, dropping onto the couch in my small salon. Guess what? Chuka finally proposed. I remember hugging her tightly, my heart swelling with genuine happiness. I had known about Chuka, the wealthy businessman from Enugu, who had been chasing her for nearly 2 years. He was generous, handsome, and every girl's dream husband. Seeing my friend win what she had prayed for made me feel like her victory was mine too. But Ifeoma's excitement was quickly followed by a plea that would later change everything. Amaka, you know you're the only one I trust. Please, can we use your house for the engagement party? She asked. At first, I hesitated. My house wasn't huge, it was a 3-bedroom bungalow my late father had left behind, but it was spacious enough for a gathering. Ifeoma lived with her elder sister and didn't want the chaos of family politics around her celebration. I understood. I smiled and agreed. Of course, Ife. My home is your home. We'll make it special. From that moment, I threw myself into helping her plan. I cleaned the compound, repainted the walls, and even borrowed extra chairs from my church. My small savings went into buying new curtains and renting a canopy because I wanted the place to look perfect. After all, this was my best friend's big day. But slowly, I began to notice the cracks. One afternoon, while we were discussing decorations, I said, Ifeoma, what color theme are we using? I can buy matching ribbons for the chairs. She glanced at me, then quickly looked away. Don't stress yourself too much, Amaka. The planner I hired will handle it. Planner? That stung. I thought we were planning together. Still, I brushed it aside. Maybe she wanted things more professional. Then came the WhatsApp group she created for the bridal train and close friends. My number wasn't added. At first, I assumed it was a mistake. When I asked her, she laughed nervously. Amaka, you know you'll be too busy helping with the house. That's why I didn't add you. It felt odd, but I swallowed the hurt. The final blow came just 2 days before the party. Ifeoma called me, her tone strangely formal. Amaka, about Saturday. Please, I don't think it will be convenient for you to attend the engagement itself. Her words stunned me. What do you mean? In my own house. She hesitated, then said softly, it's complicated. Chuka's family feels it may not look good if too many non-family members are inside. Don't be offended, my sister. You know I love you. I stood frozen, the phone pressed against my ear. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear her excuses. Non-family? Was that what I had become to her after all these years? I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask her why she had used me, used my home, my effort, my love, only to throw me aside. But my throat was tight. I only managed a week, okay, Ife. No problem. And just like that, I was uninvited from the engagement party happening in my own compound. The morning of the event, I tried to keep myself busy. I swept my small room again and again, though the floor was spotless. I folded clothes I had already folded. But no matter how I tried, the sound of music and laughter seeping through my window kept stabbing at me. By noon, the compound was alive with people. I peeked through the curtain. Cars lined the street, their shiny bodies glinting under the hot sun. Women in sparkling lace gowns and ghillie head wraps walked gracefully into my compound, carrying trays of food and gifts. Men in Igbata laughed loudly, shaking hands. And there she was, my Ifeoma, dressed in a flowing wine-red lace gown, her skin glowing, her smile dazzling. She looked like a queen. People surrounded her, taking pictures, congratulating her. I felt something break inside me. I wasn't angry at her beauty. I wasn't jealous of her happiness. I was shattered by the fact that I had been erased from it all. So I did the only thing my wounded pride allowed. I watched from afar. I slipped quietly to the back of the compound and climbed the short wall that separated my house from my neighbors. From there, I had a clear view of the party. My heart thudded painfully as I watched the music, the dancing, the laughter, all unfolding in the home I had scrubbed clean, the compound I had decorated, the space I had offered with love. The MC cracked jokes, the crowd roared with laughter, and the traditional wine-carrying ceremony began. Ifeoma's sisters and cousins cheered as she knelt before Chuka, handing him the calabash of palm wine. His smile was wide, his pride evident. Cameras flashed everywhere. But not one glance, not one acknowledgement, came in my direction. It was as if I didn't exist. I stayed there for hours, the sun burning my back, my legs numb against the wall. I couldn't move. My heart was a prisoner in my chest, caught between pain and disbelief. Then something happened, something that changed the air. Halfway through the ceremony, I noticed a strange man slipping into the compound. He was dressed in a simple shirt and trousers, nothing like the glamorous guests. His eyes darted around nervously as if he was searching for someone. At first, I thought he was just a latecomer. But the way he moved, carefully, deliberately, made me uneasy. He didn't join the laughter. He didn't sit with the others. He hovered near the back, his gaze fixed on Chuka. And then I remembered something Ifeoma once confessed to me in tears, months ago. There's this man, Pascal. I dated him before Chuka. But he was obsessed, Amaka. I had to block his number. He threatened me once, said if I ever left him for another man, he would destroy me. My stomach twisted. Could this be him? The man edged closer, his hand slipping into his pocket. I froze. From where I perched, I could see clearer than anyone else. The guests were too distracted, clapping and cheering. But I saw it, the glint of metal in his hand. A gun. My blood ran cold. I wanted to scream, to warn Ifeoma, to stop this nightmare. But my voice caught in my throat. My body trembled. For a moment, I felt paralyzed by the cruel irony. I had been uninvited, unwanted, forgotten, yet here I was, the only one who could see the danger creeping toward her. My mind raced. Should I shout? Should I run into the compound? But would they even believe me, or throw me out like an intruder? As I wrestled with fear, the man kept moving closer. His eyes were locked on Chuka, who was laughing heartily, unaware of the storm about to hit. And in that moment, standing outside my own gate, my heart made a choice. I would not let my best friend's happiness end in blood, even if she had broken mine. But the question burned inside me, would Ifeoma ever know the truth, that the friend she had discarded was the one who stood in the shadows, ready to save her life? From my perch on the wall, the world slowed into fragments of sight and sound, the music fading, the laughter becoming distant echoes, the heat of the sun pressing down on my skin. All I could see was Pascal's hand, wrapped tightly around the gun inside his pocket, and the cold determination in his eyes. He was waiting for the perfect moment. Ifeoma stood near Chuka, smiling radiantly as the MC handed her the microphone to say a few words. She began thanking everyone for coming, her voice warm and graceful, while the crowd cheered. She didn't know death was just steps away. My heart pounded so violently I thought I might fall off the wall. Fear screamed at me to run, to pretend I hadn't seen anything. After all, hadn't Ifeoma already made it clear I wasn't welcome? Why should I risk my life for her? But another voice, quieter, steadier, rose inside me. Because she was still my friend. Because once upon a time, we had promised to stand by each other no matter what. Because betrayal couldn't erase years of love. Before I could lose courage, I leapt down from the wall and ran toward the gate. My legs trembled, but I pushed forward. The security guard at the gate looked surprised. "Madam, you're not on the guest list. There's a man with a gun inside," I blurted, breathless. He froze, his eyes widening. "Gun? Where?" "Back of the canopy. Dark shirt, watching Chuka." "I swear it." Without waiting for his reply, I shoved past him. The music was loud, but inside my head, it was silence. My eyes locked on Pascal, who had now pulled the gun halfway out. "Stop him!" I screamed. The word cut through the noise like a blade. Heads turned. For a moment, confusion rippled across the crowd. Then, like a spark catching fire, people began to notice Pascal's movement. A few women screamed. Pascal's eyes widened in panic. He yanked the gun out completely, pointing it at Chuka. Chaos erupted. Guests scattered, chairs crashed, children wailed. Chuka froze, his smile vanishing. Ifeoma shrieked and stumbled backward. I didn't think. I ran. Throwing myself forward, I grabbed Pascal's arm just as he pulled the trigger. The shot exploded, the sound deafening, the recoil jerking his arm sideways. The bullet tore through one of the plastic chairs instead of Chuka's chest. People screamed louder. Men rushed forward. The security guard tackled Pascal to the ground, wrestling for the weapon. My own knees buckled, my chest heaving as the gun clattered away. For a moment, all I could do was crouch there, trembling, my palms scraped from the fall. Around me, the guests whispered, staring in shock. Some pointed at me, at the friend who wasn't supposed to be there, but who had just thrown herself into danger. Ifeoma's eyes found mine. Her face was pale, her lips trembling. For a second, the world disappeared. It was just the two of us, two girls who once shared secrets under the mango tree after school. Her gaze was full of confusion, shame, and something else, something that looked like guilt. The police arrived quickly, dragging Pascal away in handcuffs. He spat curses, his voice venomous. I told you, Ifeoma. If I can't have you, no one will. The guests buzzed with shock and relief. Chuka held Ifeoma close, comforting her. Yet her eyes kept flicking back to me, standing at the edge, blood on my palms, dust on my dress. I knew I should leave. I wasn't meant to be part of this day. But part of me longed to hear her say something, anything, to acknowledge me. Instead, silence stretched between us. And in that silence, I realized that saving someone's life doesn't always mend a broken bond. The compound was in ruins. Chairs lay scattered, plates of food overturned, galley head wraps crumpled on the ground. The music had long stopped, leaving only murmurs, sobs, and the occasional wail from frightened children. The police had taken Pascal away, but the echo of his gunshot still hung in the air. I stood near the gate, my palms raw from where I had hit the ground, my heart still racing. The weight of what had just happened pressed heavily on me. I had stepped into danger for a woman who had shut me out of her life. And now, as the dust settled, all eyes were on me. Now she saved them all, someone whispered behind me. If not for her, Chuka for Don die. The words spread quickly. Guests looked at me differently now, not as an outsider, but as the person who had thrown herself into the line of fire. Some even moved closer, murmuring thanks. But the only person whose voice I wanted to hear was still silent. Ifeoma. She stood beside Chuka, her makeup streaked with tears, her expensive lace gown slightly torn from when she had stumbled. Her sisters hovered protectively around her, yet her eyes remained fixed on me. Finally, she walked forward, her steps slow, uncertain. The crowd parted, watching as she approached. My chest tightened. Was this the moment she would say sorry? Was this when she would remember that I wasn't just a tool to use, but her friend, her sister? She stopped in front of me. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. I could see the battle in her eyes, the shame, the gratitude, the fear of what others might think. Then she whispered, so quietly only I could hear. Amaka, thank you. I waited for more. An apology. An explanation. A plea to forgive her betrayal. But nothing else came. Just those two words, heavy but hollow. My throat ached. I wanted to scream, to tell her how deeply she had hurt me, how she had treated me like nothing until the moment my presence became her salvation. But the crowd pressed closer, their curious eyes watching, and I knew she wouldn't bare her soul here. Chuka joined her side, his arm around her waist. He looked at me with genuine gratitude. God used you to save me today. We'll never forget this. I nodded weakly. But inside, something hardened. Because I knew the truth, they would forget. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. Gratitude fades. And once the noise of this tragedy was over, I would return to being what Ifeoma had already made me, uninvited, unseen, unnecessary. I took a slow step back. I'm glad you're safe, I said, my voice steady though my heart trembled. That's all that matters. Her lips parted, as if she wanted to say more. But she didn't. She let me turn and walk away. That night, I sat alone in my small room, listening to the distant hum of generators and the faint laughter still drifting from the compound. The engagement had resumed in a quieter, more somber way. Life was moving on without me. I stared at my scraped palms, at the tiny cuts and bruises. Pain pulsed through them, but it was nothing compared to the ache inside my chest. And that's when the lesson sank in: friendship is not proven in laughter, but in loyalty. And loyalty is not always returned. Ifeoma had shown me who she truly was. And though I had saved her life, I could no longer save the friendship we once had. So I whispered into the quiet night, not to her but to myself. Some people you save once, but you never let them near your heart again. This is where betrayal stings the deepest, not when it comes from an enemy, but when it comes from someone you once called your own. I learned that day that love can make you blind, but pain can make you see clearly. Sometimes, walking away is the only way to heal. And as I lay back in bed, I finally understood: some doors, once closed, must never be reopened.